Now, joining us is Nicki Brivik. Nicki is a professional sex coach dedicated to helping individuals and couples navigate intimacy, desire, and connection. She joins us this evening to talk about how self-confidence can boost your level of intimacy, okay? If you're thinking to yourself, Shayla, I prefer it with the lights off, okay? I don't want to see anything. I just want to go through the motions and make sure that we're all happy at the end of it all. And Nicki is here to change the context, really speak to that inner, sensual, and sexual being. Her healing methods for couples and individuals have truly been remarkable, and we cannot wait to dig deep into this particular conversation. Nicki, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a minute. We're glad to have you back. Welcome to
Thank you,
African
Shayla.
Diaries.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Nicki, let's just start off with talking about confidence. Does the confidence I wear in the boardroom feature in the bedroom as well? Is that how confidence works?
Absolutely. I think the problem is that a lot of us see sex as something that's separate to who we are, when in fact we are a whole being. And one of our very important aspects of us is our sex life, our relationships. And I think that is where it's ignored. And that's where my passion is to make people realize that we are whole people. So it is very important to foster confidence in the bedroom, because if you can take that confidence that you feel in the bedroom out into the whole world, into the boardroom, you will be unstoppable. Because when you feel desired and you're able to communicate properly and you feel powerful in such an intimate arena, and then you can go out into the world and be this amazing creative being, then the world's your oyster.
Nicki, what are the most common views of intimacy in the bedroom that people present you with? You said that we've made it separate from our livelihoods, our daily living. How do people view sex altogether?
Well, I think the thing is that what people don't realize is that great sex is intentional. It's not accidental. Everyone can have a great sex life. It just requires work. And people know that you need to work to kind of be fit, to be healthy, to sleep well, to be good at your job, to, be intellectually stimulated. But we don't work at having a better sex life. We kind of think, okay, this is how we do it. We learn it when we're very young. And, as we kind of grow. And then what happens is we kind of learn how to have it once, twice, and then we think this is the way to do it. And we never upskill ourselves. We never upgrade ourselves. So effectively, we kind of are crawling instead of running at a pace. And I want to instill in people that we don't have to settle for less than amazing sex. And it doesn't mean that every single time you have sex has to be like this out of the world experience. But what it does mean is that if you foster this connection in your everyday relationship with your partner, it will go better. It will grow and become better, and you will have more pleasure in your life, not just in the bedroom, but all around your life. Because pleasure is something that is so special, and yet it's something that we as humans that actually kind of separates us from every other kind of thing, is that we are able to feel pleasure. So we need to foster pleasure, but yet sometimes we kind of think that pleasure is something to be ashamed of. And I want people to embrace pleasure, because pleasure allows us to go out into the world and be better humans.
Nicki, for those who are thinking to themselves, you just said that most spend a great deal of time crawling in the bedroom as opposed to running, flying, if you will. You
Yes.
spoke about potential for upscaling. I mean, my brain is going, how? What does upscaling even look like in that context?
Okay, so that's a great question. So I actually have an equation, and an equation for erotic connection. and it's E equals MC cubed. So I give a nod to Einstein there, but so the erotic thread that we have in our life can be enhanced by those four aspects. So the first one is mindfulness, being present. It allows us to be right here and enjoying our bodies and enjoying our partner's bodies. Because remember, especially in today's world where we are so disconnected and, everyone is multitasking, we have these phones on us all the time, we often forget to just be present, be here, feel. Because in order for us to feel, we need to be present. We need to be in our bodies. So that's mindfulness. The next one is communication. Now, communication is the bedrock to making our bed rock. And we all find it so difficult to do. And I think the reason is we are not taught how to communicate. Now, we go to school and we learn biology. We learn reproduction, but we don't learn how to have good relationships and how to have good sex lives and how to have pleasure, how to derive pleasure from ourselves and from our partners. And so that's something we have to learn. And the problem is we also are mired in shame. We kind of grow up with this shameful notion that you can't, that pleasure is something that we shouldn't be having, that sex can, there's a saying that we should all over our sex life, because so many of us think we shouldn't want this, I shouldn't have this fantasy, I shouldn't want more. And in fact, we need to be able to let go of all that shame and communicate with our partners, because communication is lubrication. So if we can have that communication, that's the second leg of my equation. The third one is creativity. Now, the interesting thing is creativity provides the spark, the excitement, the novelty, the adventure. And I think a lot of people don't associate sex and creativity, but realize that actually this is the thing that's going to distinguish us from AI, creativity. That's what makes us human. So if we are able to bring creativity into the bedroom, can you imagine how much we can bring that creativity into every other aspect of our lives? So that's the third one. And the fourth one is collaboration. So, a lot of people see sex as a performance. But sex isn't a performance. It's a collaboration with your partner. It's something that you co-create. And it's not something you can be good at without your partner. You need each other to make that magic sauce, to make that special creation between you. And so we all have that within us. So if you want to have amazing eroticism in your life with your partner, we need to acknowledge what it takes to have it and to then purposefully go and embrace these aspects of our life so that we can make it all better. And it's all within every single person's reach to have this excitement, joy, vitality that a great sex life can bring into your life.
Nikki, as you were sharing the last C there, which is collaboration, there was a comment that came in that said it's more a fight than it is a collaboration sometimes. How do we
I
get
love
out
that.
of that? How is it necessary? Is it a bad thing to neglect? Talk to me.
Okay, so I love that comment. And unfortunately, that is true a lot of the time. And that goes back to my first one, which was communication. Because, what happens is we often think we like to blame. We don't learn how to communicate in a way that doesn't have blaming. And because we don't have a lot of education about this, because we're not taught it at school, we're not taught it anywhere else, and also this whole thing of kind of the silence and secrecy that surrounds sex, a lot of the time it can become a fight because we start blaming. I don't like the way you do that. I never feel, you never make me feel good. And we need to learn to be able to say, how can we go ahead together? Because, great sex is not a race. to the finish line. And if it is, I always say it's a three-legged race. We have to learn to run together, or it is going to be a fight. So if we can learn to communicate, this is what makes me feel good, share it with your partner, then it won't be a fight. But it's skills that we have to develop. So a lot of times people say to me, but how do I do that? Well, it's not easy. Communicating isn't easy, but we learn how to do it in every other aspect of our lives. And if we start without blame, with what makes us feel good, with I comments, with kindness, and with openness and curiosity. So I think curiosity is essential, because with curiosity is kind of the antidote to judgment. If you are always curious, well, what about that do you want to try? Why do you want to try that? Is that something that excites you? Show interest, be curious, don't shut it down. Say, no, I would never. And I find especially sex people often say that because they think sometimes that, oh, it's something I don't know. It's not something I could do. But open your mind. Is it something that you could? Is it something that you could be brave enough to try? And the thing about that is it creates intimacy, and connection always enhances your relationship, because it's something that only you two have, that you share. It's like that private joke that only you two are in on. So enhancing that in your relationship can only make it better. But it's a skill that we need to learn, and it's a skill that, if we talk about it more, not just with each other, with other people, read about it, be educated about it, instead of hiding sex as though it's something that's shameful, then we can hopefully move away from that fighting and find collaboration.
That is the voice there of Nicki Brivik joining us this evening, sex coach, here to help us firstly develop our confidence in the bedroom, but also respectfully grow together in the bedroom. If you want to send through your questions, do find us on WhatsApp +278 3288 6684. Nicki, I want to find out, how does one communicate distaste? Okay. So your partner was trying and experimenting, and there you were, and then you realize, nope, not my portion, not my cup, not something that I like. But you're also trying to preserve their confidence. You try not to bruise their ego, and this swings both ways. How do we communicate something that we don't necessarily like without tainting someone's confidence?
Yes. Okay. I love that. I think, we must distinguish between micro communication and macro communication. So micro communication is the communication we have in the bedroom. And there we have to be very careful. So you don't want to criticize too much, because it can really take away the joy. All those beautiful hormones that are coursing through our body, the endorphins and the adrenaline and the oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. If you are criticizing, it shuts things down. So there are ways to do it, and there are ways to communicate the way you like something. So I always say it's a little bit, and that's why we must never fake an orgasm, because often what happens is, if you are pretending to like something you don't like, then you will always get it. So, it's like going to your mother-in-law to be and you say, I love apple pie, but you actually hate the apple pie. Guess what? For the next 50 years, you're going to be eating apple pie every time you go to your mother-in-law. So if you fake an orgasm, then you are going to be telling your partner exactly what you don't want. So how do you tell them what you do want? Well, there are ways of shifting your body. There are ways of moaning. It's a bit like Pavlov's dog. Moan when it's really good. I love to say that in the bedroom is the one time you can be a real drama queen. So moaning and sighing and breathing heavily and saying that feels good, or up, down, faster, slower, or even, you could use your hand to shift things. You could move your body so they're in the right position. Or you can just kindly change things. You don't have to say, let's not do that. So it's the way in which you do it. Just always think about being kind and conveying what you want without shutting down your partner. But when you are out of the bedroom, that is when you can talk about things that you want to try, and perhaps you can lodge in a bit of a criticism there. So, timing, tone, and turf are very, very important when you're doing that macro communication. So when you're out of the bedroom, you need to talk about sex. So it's like, let's check in. What do you think of our sex life? Last night it was really hot. I particularly loved it when you were touching my nipples like that. But maybe next time, can you not be so hard? But I must say, it really did feel so good, the rest of it, so you can sandwich it in such a way that it doesn't feel like criticism. Or, I would like to try something new next time we have sex. Do you have anything you would like to try? How can we try something new together? What appeals to you? So it's all about kind of asking and sharing in a way that can be heard and a way that you that they can listen to you. Does that make sense?
It does. It actually does, Nikki. And I think what's interesting is that it extends beyond intimacy in the bedroom. I mean, if you're in a heated argument, or if you're in a place where you need to be a bit more careful, then you would apply the micro way of communicating versus macro when it's outside the context, So I absolutely
Exactly.
love that.
And also just your tone. Be careful with your tone, not you, and you never touch me the way I like it. You never ask me. Don't do that. And be careful about the turf. So I always say, leave the bedroom. Don't criticize in the bedroom, because it takes
Yeah.
away all those beautiful hormones. Often walking or driving, when you don't actually have to look directly at each other, it's a great time to communicate. So especially a lot of men, movement helps them process things. So,
Yeah.
I often take my husband for a walk when I know I want to kind of give a little bit of advice. I like to bring it up when we're walking, because then he's more open to it and it feels very natural in a conversation. And being out in nature in particular is a great time to bring something that could be sometimes maybe a little bit combative or pushing out of the box. It can really be helpful when you are in nature and kind of outside of the bedroom.
And lastly, Nikki, you have a platform that I think everyone should know about. That's Ask Nikki. For those who have got more questions, they're saying, listen, I want to plunge into specific subject matters. Where do they find you?
Okay, so my website is asknicki.co.za. I'm on all the social platforms, but my main one is Instagram. It's ask.nikki, Nicki. So ask me a question, .nikki. And I do have a book coming out in June. It's called Sexponential: How to Upgrade Your Sex Life, Maximize Your Pleasure Potential. So hopefully you can get all those tips from me if you get my book in June.
We're looking forward to that. Thank you so much for joining us, Nikki. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Shayla. Thank you so much for having me.
The voice there of Nicki Brivik joining us this evening. She is a sex coach, a keynote speaker, as well as a corporate wellness advocate. And essentially, she was helping us firstly establish what confidence means in the bedroom, but also creating room and space for your partner to be confident so that you can both upscale. An equation that I want to share with you that she shared with us is for erotic connections with your partner, you want to have MC cubed. Okay, so M stands for mindfulness. The first C stands for communication. The second C stands for creativity. And the third C stands for collaboration. So when you're thinking of physical intimacy with your partner, be mindful, communicate, be creative, and collaborate. It is 20 minutes before the show comes to an end, 22 midnight in Central Africa time. For now, a quick breather and some music.